He was representing a jeweler, and the jeweler had an old Rolodex. And every night, this jeweler, when he was closing, would take the Rolodex of his clients and he'd put it in the safe and he'd lock the safe and then he'd leave the jewelry out. Like
Oh
he
my
wouldn't
gosh.
put the expensive jewelry in the big safe at the end of the day. My grandfather said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "This is all insured. I lose my client list, I'm out of business."
Welcome to the channel Buzz, where we connect the dots across marketing, partnerships, and the ERP ecosystem. I am your host, Amiee Keenan, and in each episode, we'll explore the strategies and stories, tips, tactics, trends that drive success in the channel. Welcome aboard. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the channel Buzz, where we connect the dots across marketing, partnerships, and the ERP ecosystem. I am your host, Amiee Keenan, and today we're talking about a challenge I think a lot of partner leaders face. When growth slows down, the answer is often, let's recruit more partners. But what if the real problem isn't recruiting? What if it's enablement? Joining me today is Alissa Amundson, a partner enablement leader who's passionate about helping partners succeed after they join your ecosystem. We'll discuss why enablement is about much more than training, how it impacts revenue, the metrics that matter, and the opportunities many partner programs are missing. So welcome, Alissa, to the show. Before we dive in, can you share a little bit about yourself and let the audience get to know you?
Yes, Amy, thank you. I'm happy to be here. I think if there's anything I love more than doing things, it's getting nerdy with other people about it.
Me too.
So this is a fun opportunity. So just to introduce myself, I came out of the classroom. I actually started my professional career as a classroom educator with a master's degree in teaching. So enablement was a pretty natural progression for me. I love making things work. I love empowering people to do a good job. And I love the puzzle of trying to do that with somebody that doesn't do your thing full time. So how do you make them good at your thing when they're trying to be good at about 10 other things? And so I think the education background has really helped me understand adult learning, adult engagement, just general engagement, but also how to take what feel like complex things and make them really simple and straightforward for the partner environment. And then if you're looking at this on the video side of things, you can see a harp in the background. So when I'm not doing partner enablement and not chasing a toddler and a teenager around, I'm running a little harp ensemble here in Heber
Nice.
City, Utah. So,
That's
so
exciting and different.
yeah, yeah. Try and keep the creative, the creative side alive, and having that hobby feeds what I'm doing professionally too.
Yeah, I actually take piano lessons and play piano, so there you go.
Hey, good for you. I have some great adult harp students, so I love hearing when other adults are pursuing music.
Yeah, like you said, creativity is huge, right? And I also feel like it's also good for your brain because you have to memorize things and the notes and where the notes are. And I did take piano when I was younger and obviously stopped when I had kids and all that stuff. I took it from like sixth grade to 12th grade. And so 2 years ago, I decided, you know what, maybe I should start thinking about picking it back up again because it's time. Way overdue, but it's time.
Sounds like, Amy, we need a different episode of the things that keep channel people going outside of the channel.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the partner problem. You can't recruit your way out. Yes.
Yep.
So let's start with the first question. When people hear enablement, they often think training. What's the biggest misconception about enablement today?
I think the biggest misconception, especially with partner enablement, is we'll just throw some documents out and we'll put a certification together and I'll put a little test and we'll call it good. Partners will know what they're doing. And I love partners and I have the utmost respect. I've worked with some incredible partners around the world that are incredibly competent and capable, but they don't always have the time to read your documentation, figure out what you want, pass your test, and then do it effectively. So I
Right.
think we misunderstand and misapply other people's professionalism and just assume they're going to get it. Where
Right.
we have to put a structured, and the way around that is really a good, structured, thoughtful enablement program that drives ongoing engagement and gives partners what they need in smaller, digestible nuggets. So instead of throwing everything at them and saying, have a good time, we lead them along from zero to, co-selling capable to independence and support them along every step of the way.
Yeah, and I feel like if you have a good LMS that can help automate a lot of that for you so you don't have to manually do any of that. I also think that you sign up this partner and, kind of go back to the intro. You just want to get these partner leads in the door as fast as possible. So we're either just saying, okay, we signed up the partner, let's get to the lead section or lead portion of it all and skip all of that because we need the leads. And so I feel like you have to really do your due diligence, take your time because the partner's not going to be successful if we don't have this piece in place and it has to happen first.
Yeah, and if we just look at the selling motion, I mean, it would be like hiring a new business development manager and saying, here's our product, go find us leads.
Right.
We would never do that to an internal new hire BDR. We would help them understand the product, help them understand the value proposition, help them listen for those key trigger words in a conversation where they go, our product fits and how it fits. And we have to do that for partners. We have to figure out a way, it can't be necessarily to the same depth and breadth because, again, our partners are not in our product all day, every day. They might, as our partnership matures, they might have a dedicated team for your product. But especially when you're starting a partner out, you have to give them the high level pieces. So as they're out having multiple conversations, you've trained them or given them the trigger words. So when they're hearing, I mean, for my current product, when they're hearing employee engagement, I want my partner to go, aha, Lumaps, right? And like you've got to get it so it's top of mind and mentally there. And if I'm expecting a partner to read my whole product treatise that's 20 pages long, like it's never going to happen. So we have to assume they don't know anything coming in, but we also have to assume that they're professional, intelligent in their ability to sell, but build the enablement in such a way that they have the triggers in place and can confidently go out and go, yep, I know where Lumaps fits, or I know where this vendor fits, or I know how these two can go together. And that means we have to build enablement thoughtfully.
I love that. Yeah, exactly. You want them to get to the top of mind is huge. Like I feel like that's the number one thing. If you give them the resources, the tools, the messaging, so when they hear those words and you're top of mind, that means you're golden. You got them where you want them to be if they can do that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And you're going to be set up for success.
No, and it sounds silly, Amy, but another part of this is product placement, right? We think about marketing. Again, our partners are often representing multiple vendors, and they might be representing your competition.
Right.
And so I'll give you a story about a previous company that I helped build their partner enablement, their partner program, and I drove our acquisition team nuts. I said, look, I need money. I need the ability that once they're done with this certification, I need to send them a mug or
Right.
a bobblehead. Like I need to send them some sort of piece of junk. We all love swag, but really it is a thing that I want to put them on their desk because when they're in the sales conversations, I know they're also representing my competitor. I want them to not only have a visual cue that reminds them of the training that I've given them, right? So let's say I put, here's my Awala mug that's not branded, but here, if I put that mug right next to my desk, I'm now in conversation and let's say it's branded, my company right here across the mug. If I'm in conversation, there's my brand awareness
Right.
that's going to trigger and remember, oh yeah, I did the certification and it taught me X, Y, and Z. And they also sent me a mug. So I really like Alissa from the enablement team. And so we're bringing all the adult learning and all the adult psychology pieces together to be top of mind. and to make sure that the learning I gave them in my little onboarding certification program is triggered with a visual cue. So I mean there's fun tips and tricks, but we should never underestimate the power of a good t-shirt or the power of a good mug.
Exactly, exactly. And everyone loves free stuff in the mail.
Right?
I know I do. So, send me all the free swag, everyone.
Yeah, my husband's actually waiting for me to clean out all of my corporate t-shirts.
Yeah, I have a lot of those too.
They're comfortable.
They are, they are. So many ecosystems invest heavily in recruiting new partners, as we know. How important is enablement in helping those partners actually become successful?
I grew up my dad's an ad man. So I grew up,
Hmm.
honestly, this is how old I am. I was helping my dad stuff direct market envelopes for his clients. And so we'd have little family like envelope stuffing nights. But I grew up with an ad man, and he told stories about my grandfather, who also was an ad man. And that one of his clients, and I don't know if this actually happened to my grandpa or if this is like a marketing sales, myth legend, but he was representing a jeweler, and the jeweler had an old Rolodex, right? So for our younger listeners, instead of putting contacts in their phone, they wrote them on little pieces of paper and had a little organized box. And every night, this jeweler, when he was closing, would take the Rolodex of his clients and he'd put it in the safe and he'd lock the safe, and then he'd leave the jewelry out. Like he
My
wouldn't
gosh.
put the expensive jewelry in the big safe at the end of the day. And my grandfather said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "This is all insured. I lose my client list, I'm out of business." And so I think about that when it comes to partner enablement, right?
Hmm.
If we have our list of partners and I can develop the relationship and deepen the relationship and target the engagement, like getting a new client is hard and takes a lot of money. Finding a new partner, recruiting a new partner, going through the vetting process, signing the NDA, getting, everybody redlining partner agreements, that takes so much time and
Yes.
energy that once we've got them over the line and are in our system, that's sacred. That is the most important relationship we have. And just throwing more people into that pot means nothing unless
Hmm.
we're opening that card in the Rolodex or pulling up their account and going, what can I do to deepen that relationship today? And
Love that.
enablement's the number one. For me,
Yeah.
enablement's number one. Because that's so easy for a partner manager to reach out and say, hey, I see we've got a good pipeline sitting there. What's slowing that pipeline down? Oh, and we're getting close to closed one. Let's start talking about services enablement because I want you to make more money. And if I can teach your team how to deliver our services, that puts more money
Hmm.
in your pocket because of our account. Right. And so you think of, that jeweler that put his client list in the safe. I think we need to have the same attitude about our established signed partners,
Yeah.
investing in them, enabling them, engaging them, empowering them. Again, sending them a little mug because they did something for you, taking them to lunch, doing a
Hmm.
lunch and learn, that's enablement. Going on site, sitting and teaching them a specific thing and buying them lunch. Those are things that tie that partner closer to us as a company. And so that enablement piece is what's going to lock them in and nudge them forward. And is so much less effort than finding a new partner, vetting that
Yes.
partner, and getting all the red lines taken care of. What do you have in the safe that you can invest in? And, obviously continue keeping partners because that's part of the life cycle. But how do I take the partners I have and
Hmm.
tie them closer to me? And that's
Right.
enabling them. That's giving them more confidence to sell with you.
I love that. I love the little Rolodex story too. I feel like
Yeah.
nowadays it's like our email lists are sacred, right? Because we've built those up and those are the people that signed up to want to hear from you. So, those are very sacred and you got to keep those.
Yeah. If somebody accidentally deletes that file
Hmm.
your CRM, oh,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's like someone stealing a Rolodex.
yep, exactly.
All right. I love this question. If a partner leader came to you and said, I need to prove enablement impacts revenue, what metrics would you tell them to track?
I'd start with time to productivity. I mean, if you want to see, I start a new partner, they go through my program and they start bringing in leads. How long before when I sign them, when they complete the program, and then when they're bringing in leads? And if you build the program correctly, those things should happen at about the same time. And I'll give you an example, Amiee. Right now, we are the onboarding program for the company that I'm at right now. It's called Loomapps. We do employee engagement, and it's kind of the employee front door to your tech stack and your CMS and all those, anything that keeps your employees doing their job and feeling empowered in their jobs. So a lot of enablement there. But what we're doing with our initial onboarding is, giving little nuggets of learning along the way. But I'm building them out so the end of this, the certification, is actually a conversation about a specific prospect. So the whole process, the whole learning process, I'm actually having that client or that partner think about a prospect. And so they come to the table, and at the end of the 2 weeks, we should be having a very specific conversation about a specific prospect that could be deal registered in that moment. So if all goes according to plan, my time to the first benchmark of productivity is 2 weeks that we've got a prospect. And then I work very closely with our account managers to keep that cycle going. But can I get them confident to show up with a deal registration within the first couple weeks? And we all know partners sometimes come to us with a deal in the bag, and then we rush to sign them so we can, close the deal and move. Those are great. Those are Christmas presents. That's not what gets me at quota Q1, Q2, Q3, right? And so getting that prospect started at the beginning and then building all of my enablement around, let's move that prospect down the pipeline together. And so, our next step, let's get them in the pipeline. Let's start selling. Ooh, do you want to be able to demo a little more? Let's get it so where you could lead the demos. Maybe here's the next prospect that we have coming. And so now you're a little more confident, and you're bringing we're just lining prospect after prospect up. And then as that prospect moves down the sales pipeline, how long does it take to get from that first deal registration to closed one? Mm-hmm. Well, part of that confidence is coming with, especially with SaaS, is does the partner feel good about services? Are they ready to do that? So all along the way, we're circling the pipeline with enablement. So a leader could then say, okay, Alissa, tell me why you're doing a good job. How long does it take a partner to give me a deal registration? And how long does it take that partner to get that deal registration over the line? And then how effective is that partner in getting the implementation, right? So we have these benchmarks that we can track. And then how successful is that renewal 2-3 years down the road? So I think there's easy high-level flags. Obviously, these are lagging indicators. I can't walk in and say, hey, the program I launched 2 weeks ago has directly impacted revenue. But I can show progress, right? I can start to say, hey, we launched on this date, but look, every new partner has a deal registered within 2 weeks.
That's really good, actually.
That's huge. That's huge. And then they're registered. Then we've empowered them to register deals over and over. And then as we progress, oh look, this partner that came through and then followed phase 2 of our certification, their deal registration to close is mirroring our internal. That's awesome, right? Their percentage, their win rate is mirroring ours, if not better, because we're vetting deals a little more. And so you just set those benchmarks up for leaders, but you have to start high level. I think that's the hardest thing with enablement is we want to show I impacted $4 billion in revenue in my first 6 months. And that's hard to track in a partner environment, right?
Right.
So I've got to prove that people are moving and that what I'm doing is moving the stick. I can't control closed one. No. At all. As an enablement person, I can't. But I can influence the people that have more control over that than I do. And so I have to prove that what I'm doing is setting that partner up to more confidently drive to closed one.
I love that. And I feel like, once you have those metrics in place, you kind of know every time that partner brings you this deal, okay, this is how long it's going to take.
Yep.
But, roughly.
But it's hard. And I think that's the trick in the channel world is, especially if you're trying to build a partnership program in a direct sales model, is that they want to, let's see productivity right now. I had a company that I consulted for that their sales cycle was 18 months for direct clients. and they wanted to build a partner program, and they said, well, we want to give the partner program, a revenue target of, $1 million. You want me to do that in the first 6 months when our sales cycle is 18
18
months?
months? Yeah.
So I've got to find a partner, onboard the partner, get them to find me a prospect, and I have to do that 3 times faster than our team did. And so you have to be clear about the expectations. And
Yeah.
this does require a lot of collaboration when you talk about metrics to make sure that a leader is not asking you in the enablement program to try and argue the impossible.
Right.
So it does take collaboration and making sure as an enablement person you're saying, oh, no, I can't, you can't do that with your direct team. I sure can't do that with a partner.
Exactly. I sometimes feel like people that sell direct and now, oh, we want to build out a channel. It's harder because their expectations are wrong. They don't understand the channel. They don't understand partners or how to enablement or how long it's really going to take. And it is going to take a long time. And it's all about relationships and trust and enablement. So I feel like it can be very difficult to try and switch their brains or switch their logic around from doing direct to channel. And I'm sure you probably see that too.
Well, and I think that's where the believable metrics work, where I can say, hey, look, I can't, as an enablement, I can't control recruiting, but I can tell you when we recruit the right partner, give me 2 weeks, depending on the product, might take 3, might take 1, right? If it's depending on the product you're selling, but here's the space of time where the right partner is going to bring me a deal. They're going to put a deal in our pipeline within 2 weeks of joining the company because that's how we're building it. Yeah. And so you set that benchmark and I would look at a leader and say, brand new program, that's my metric right now. Mm-hmm. New partner to deal or to deal registration. That's my metric number 1. And so you set the expectations, you communicate them really clearly. And that, I think that helps when you're trying to build in a direct cycle.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so what's the biggest revenue opportunity partners miss because they aren't properly enabled?
Services. And honestly, I think we could talk about objection handling, right?
Yeah.
I think, and so let me start with that one and then we'll go into services.
Okay.
But I think the objection handling is a big one. I worked with a partner program and a lot of our partners represented us and 2 other competitors. And we were the most expensive, we were the best option, but the most expensive option. So one of the biggest problems we ran into is that we'd give them our information and a high-level battle card. And so, but really, what does that rep care about? Closing the deal.
Right.
So they might start with us as the best option, but the minute there was friction about cost, let's throw in, instead of positioning us as cost worthy, like don't cut costs here, let's cut costs over here. They would just jump to, I can jump to the cheaper option here and the cheaper option here. And so we'd get knocked. And so I think making sure your partners understand your value and the value price so they don't default away from you when it comes to cost.
Yeah.
At least they fight a little harder.
Let's exactly. Yeah.
Because if they're margin driven and we're the linchpin in a much bigger tech stack deal, okay. But we want them to put up a little more of a fight for us. So I think that's number 1. And then number 2, services. And I think the services piece is the dark horse. Because partners, that's where they can make the most revenue, is in delivering services. And that's honestly where they have the most value internally. Like right now, as we're building a services enablement program, the whole goal is that our services team that is overloaded can pass deals to trusted partners. So we have a direct sale deal that we do have a partner implement. And so, but you've got to have a trusted partner and you have to keep track of that partner and you have to make sure that they're certified. And we have a lot of partners and they're fantastic partners. They're fantastic delivery. But we trained them 3 years ago and haven't retrained them on new products and what's happened and how we've changed our process. And so not the fault of the partner, but some of the quality of the work has fallen off because our products changed. Right. And we haven't stayed current with their enablement. So for me is if we can make sure that not only the partner can sell it, but they have to be able to support and get the client started off on the right foot. Mm-hmm. as an equal partner, because if they don't, churn, and
Right.
that costs.
And that hurts both you and the partner. And then the partner's not going to want to sell your solution because now you may have an unhappy customer. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So if we have a really solid sale or services enablement program, which does require great partnership with your internal services team, that is ongoing, that has follow-ups, that has engagement. So, partner enablement is not just how to sell our product, it's the whole banana, right? It is
Mm-hmm.
soup to nuts, how you follow the entire client life cycle. And then the trick for enablement is to check in and make sure that partner's still bought in. And that if that partner fades or they've lost people, everybody does, right? The
Right.
person that you certified originally left the company, and all that's left are the three people that they trained but don't, that
Right.
play that terrible game of telephone. And suddenly the partner's not delivering the right service. That hurts everybody.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and again, that terrible word of churn. So that's why I'm a huge fan of services enablement.
One thing that I really liked that you said is that enablement doesn't stop at where you finish the training or whatever it may be. It's through the entire cycle. And I sometimes feel like we can miss out on that, right? Like, oh, they close a deal, I'm all set, this partner's all set, moving on to the next thing. And we don't follow that life cycle of the services part of it, making sure that the implementation is going well and everybody's happy and the partner's happy and the customer's happy. And so I think that could be a big miss if people just think they don't need to follow that or keep up with that.
Yeah, one thing my partners are really excited about is we've told them, Kate, guys, we're going to implement an internal kind of a CSAT. So I mean, this is a huge programmatic build on our side, but we're going to publish to clients who's certified with what. Internally, we're going to know what your CSAT scores are. And so if I've got a direct seller that goes, ooh, I need a partner to help me give this over the line, instead of going, oh, I did my last one with this partner, and so I'll just give it to him again. But what if this client needs something unique or special that partner B delivers? So that we're also focusing on internal enablement on
Mm-hmm.
how to leverage partners and giving our internal teams the support they need, but then also giving our partners client facing opportunities for their own upsells or their own services upsells to support our product ecosystem. And partners love it. They're so excited. They're
Yeah.
so excited about the idea that we will be promoting their services because
Right.
our services stop here. But what if a partner does this, something else, and there's that value add? We
Right.
got to get it to them.
Love it. Yeah. All right. Last but not least,
Okay,
if you could wave a magic wand and instantly fix one enablement problem across every partner ecosystem, what would it be?
tracking,
Nice.
tracking, and clear communication.
Love
Do
it.
partners know where they stand? Do
Yeah.
they know what's expected? I'm a huge Kim Scott fan with Radical Candor. And honestly, that's not just managing like your team or your kids. This is managing partners too.
Right.
Like Kim Scott teaches that if you get to a performance evaluation and your employee is shocked at what they're hearing, you are not managing that employee correctly. It should not be a surprise, good or bad, right? There
Right.
should be
Yeah.
no surprises at evaluation. I think it needs to be the same as we do partner QBRs. There should be zero surprises, which means as an enablement organization on the partner side, I've got to track a whole lot of little things to make sure that the partner feels trusted and knows they're trusted. But if the partner slips up, we somewhere, and they're going to because
Hmm.
it's not their product and they're going to make
Right.
a mistake. But if they feel like that we're going to cut them off at the knees the minute they make a mistake, or surprise, they make a mistake in January and we cut them off in August, like that makes you look terrible. But if
Hmm.
we're tracking and saying, hey, we just got a CSAT back from this client, let's debrief about it and figure out what enablement your team needs to do better on the next one.
Love
And guess
that.
what? We care about you. So we're going to, with that client, we'll come in and fix this one problem, or we're going to teach you how to fix it. And you can, whatever the dynamic is, but data is king. And if I know
Hmm.
what my partners are doing and my partners know that I know what they're doing, there is a circle of trust there, especially if they know that I'm going to help them.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like if you're going to take the time they're going to take the time, right? It's going to
Yeah,
be reciprocated. So if you're not going to
it's
take
a
the time, then they're
relationship.
not going to take the time. It's very simple.
Right. It's a relationship. I have partners that because I did a good job supporting them, they still, I don't even work for that company anymore. They still send my son gifts on his
Nice.
birthday. Like I mean he's 3 and getting presents from Uncle Miguel in Mexico. Like it just because Miguel knew that I'd support his team and I'd be there for him and we were honest and I kept track of what he was doing. It's bleeding into family relationships
Love that.
and long-term relationships. And anytime I move to a new company, he leans forward and goes, if I fit, you call me.
Nice. And that's how you know it was successful and you did your job. And yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It also
that's
helps
awesome.
because when my son gets into dual immersion someday, he will have Uncle Miguel in Mexico that wants
Nice.
to help him with his Spanish. So that's going to be helpful.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for joining me today. I think, you shared so many great nuggets of information and conversations of partner success. And obviously, it doesn't start at the partner agreement, it starts when you invest in helping them. And we want them to succeed because if they succeed, we succeed. It's reciprocated. And
Exactly.
loved the training about giving partners the confidence and the clarity and support they need because obviously if they don't have that, then how are they going to sell your solution? So when they win, everybody wins, and that's what the ultimate goal is, obviously, as well relationship building too, which is number one. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to the Channel Buzz on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. And if this episode made you think differently about partner enablement, I'd love for you to share it with someone on your team or in your partner ecosystem. And if you're looking for more conversations, ideas, or resources about marketing partnerships and growing your ERP channel, be sure to follow me on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Alyssa, for being here. And until next time, we'll see you next time on the Channel Buzz. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Amy.